All right, here we are back at Fountain Hills for round 2 of the Memorial Championship. And today I'll be playing with Henna Bloomrose, Zoe Andyke, and Jennifer Allen. I shot at 8 under par on the first round. Zoe and Henna shot 5 under, and Jennifer Allen shot a 4 under. So we are teeing off again on hole 1, 318 feet. And like I talked about in round 1, it's very nerve-wracking hole, staring at all this open water, and the basket just rests right over it. So I threw my Raptor in round 1. Nothing different going on here. I'm going to be throwing the Raptor again and trying to overcome those nerves that I was talking about on day 1.
From Plano, Texas, it's Paige Pierce.
So today we have a little bit bigger of a crowd, and I think that kind of adds to the nerves. You can see Bradley Williams eating an apple right there. We had a couple of the MPO players watching, which was really cool. This one, immediately out of my hand, I thought, oh no, it's a little bit inside of where I wanted to aim. Honestly, a good mistake. I was closer than I was even yesterday, but something I want to clean up going into hole 2 because I do not want to have any releases that are not where I planned them. But happily, I will take that birdie, move up to 9 under, and move into hole 2. So like I talked about, there's 2 routes. This over the water route is definitely more direct, and especially on a 703-foot hole, it is something to consider. But for me, hole 1 and hole 2 provide the most danger, and I'm trying to steer clear from it. So I'm going the hyzer route, and then the second shot, I'm choosing if I want to be aggressive or not. Right here, I'm going with my overstable Zeus. You see Austin Turner joining too. And this one is a much better shot than yesterday. Right in the center of the gap, good height, just under the branches, and I get quite a ways up there and should have a more manageable shot here. Yesterday, I was about 112 meters away. Today, I think my rangefinder read 94. So I'm going to try to get myself a little bit closer and get inside the circle for a look at the birdie 3 on this. And I land just inside the circle on the deep side. But this putt is so scary with that water right behind. I gotta commit to this one if I want to make it. And again, just a tiny bit short. You can tell I didn't fully extend on that follow through, and I will be taking a par here. Hole 3, 294 feet. This one is a very gettable birdie, the first one of the round that you feel you should get. Yesterday I threw it a little bit deep and a little hot, so today I'm considering changing up the game plan and going with my Tour Series Buzz. And this one will not be on a hyzer, it will be more line drive at the basket. It's a nice straight buzz, but it has an overstable finish, these new Tour Series ones. And I'm loving them so far, so I'm aiming a tiny bit right at the basket, knowing it'll fade, but not on a severe hyzer. Landing about 16 feet deep, right in line with the basket. And I actually like where this one lands because I'm putting away from the sidewalk. That can be pretty distracting when you're putting at it and watching onlookers. So a good birdie pickup here, moving myself to 10 under par. And we're moving on to hole 4. This one is 250 feet, dead straight. Should be easy, but this triple Mando 40 feet short of the basket definitely adds a little bit of mental game element. And one that I could not overcome in round 1. I talked about in my brain what was going on, that I was thinking about what I didn't want to do instead of what I wanted to do. So I'm kind of taking an extra moment here, telling myself, throw it straight. I'm not talking about the Mando in my head. I'm just thinking straight, straight, straight. And this was successful, finding myself through the Mando, looking at a 15 to 18 foot putt right back at the basket. This will move me up to 11 under, and we're headed into hole 5, 441 feet downhill. You have to throw it at least 420 or you're not going to get over that hill and you're going to have no putt. There is a road deep and there is like a little planter box on the right side that also does play as OB. So if you do go that wide route, you just want to make sure it hyzers when it gets around pin high. This one is my go-to Zeus, and I'm trying to give it a little bit more power than I did in round 1. Hyzer flip to flat, and it gets a little turn to the right, but it was a little bit too nose up, and it's going to kind of stall out. But there's a very fortunate skip and a little bit of a roll there. And that one felt so good to hit. I was genuinely closer than I thought, and this is awesome to see thanks to the catch cam from GKPro. Hole 6, 233 feet. Another shorty, but this one's very difficult, especially if you land your disc on the right side of the basket. The popular play here is the right-handed spike hyzer over these trees, but if you don't land left of this tree right here, you have a tendency to roll down the hill. So I go straight at this one with my Banger GT and just go for a nose up, powerful, stally shot here. That one came out a little bit too late and clips a tree, and I'll find myself about circle's edge looking down the hill, trying to focus on the basket and commit. And I knew right out of my hand just a tiny bit right, but I'm glad that I committed and got it the right height. Not a bad miss there. And I'm moving on to hole 7, which is 210 feet. This one really scares me, to be honest with you. It's just such a reachable hole. It's such an easy hole if there was no water, but that little bit of water right there at about 170 feet just really creeps into your brain. So I'm going with the zone here. Typically, I would not throw a zone 200 feet, but I'm trying to cover land the entire way. So I'm aiming well right of the basket near that tree and just trying to hyzer it in, covering land the entire way. And that was great speed control. I was really happy with that shot. I'm perfectly pin high, about 15 feet to the right of the basket. Another birdie there, moving me up to 13 under, and you can see Jennifer Allen at this moment is 9 under par. She's having a great round, moving herself up. And we are on to hole 8. This is such a fun par 4 to throw. 2 very good shots reward you with a birdie 3, 570 feet. If you get right about here, you can see the basket, and I would say you have the green flag to go for it. If not, you probably want to lay up, unlike I did in round 1. I was out of position and still ran at it, so I told myself on this tee pad, if you are out of position again, don't make a silly mistake, just take the par. With that being said, though, I am trying to get myself in a much better position today. Here goes my Zeus down the right side. Beautiful release there. That is exactly what I'm looking for on this tee shot. And it gets a skip way down there. And honestly, this is farther than I've been maybe ever. It's making me throw a standstill here, which I don't normally do on this hole. And you can see I was kind of in between speed on that one. And I came up a tiny bit short, but still should be a manageable putt. Just didn't quite push off that back leg with my left foot sitting down about a foot lower than my right foot. I was worried about falling forward and didn't quite commit to that putt. So I will take a par, and here we are moving on to hole 9. This is the last of the true water holes. 285 feet, par 3. I think if you get the birdie on this one, you're going to get a couple strokes on your card just because it's such a difficult shot to park, or one that you have to run a crazy putt on. This one I'm going with a zone, and I'm trying to get it a little bit higher today because yesterday I had a very fortunate skip. And with that in mind, I threw it too high and hit that branch, and I need to get up and down from here to save a par. I am having to cover water the entire way on this one, so I want to make sure to get it there, but then I just throw it a little bit too hot. It gets a skip off that grass, and I find myself OB looking at this and do not convert. Very, very unfortunate errors on this hole. Carding a double bogey on hole 9, and I got a little bit of work to do. This moves me backwards to 11 under, and Jennifer is now at 10 under par. So, moving into hole 10, the back 9, this is the one that gave me trouble in round 1, and I'm trying my best not to think about that standing on this tee pad. All I'm thinking about is getting over this mound right here that sits at maybe 280 feet, and then it dips down and moves to the right. So you want a late turning disc, not a full speed driver, but definitely a little bit more than a fairway. So I'm going with an Avenger SS here, looking for a hyzer flip release that will turn nice and slowly over. And this is exactly what I was picturing. And such a nice recovery from the day before, and also more importantly from the hole that I had just played, carding a birdie here and moving myself back in the right direction to 12 under. I'm feeling good going into this back 9. So hole 11, this is the palm tree hole, 368 feet, and if you are not short left or deep right, you don't have much of a putt. Yesterday I went with a Zeus and went 60 deep, so today I'm changing my game plan. I'm going with a Raptor, the one I throw on hole 1, and just going to give this a lot of power. Same angle that I throw the Zeus on, nice turn to the right, knowing it's going to skip back to the left, and I find myself perfectly pin high. This was a great change, one that I actually did not practice, but I've known this disc for a while, and I knew it was the perfect distance, and I just needed to trust that angle. Hole 12, this one's 293 feet, downhill, maybe more like 270, but you have to crest this hill, otherwise you have a 50 plus foot putt, and it is an elevated basket. So this is one I want some redemption on as well. I had a late release at that straight gap yesterday, so I'm going to actually again change my game plan and go with a zone up the right side. But this wasn't all because of what happened in round 1. This had a lot to do with me just throwing that banger in the water a few holes ago and needing to improvise. So throwing that zone, I found myself pin high, 36 feet to the right, and this is a difficult putt here. Elevated basket, I was in between, should I jump it or should I stand still? You could see that hesitation in my decision, and I missed high, and I'm again outside the circle, and this time for par. Oh, and I thought I made that one, and again watching it, it looked so good, just a tiny bit high on that nose up angle, trying to get it into that elevated basket. So I'll be taking a bogey there and moving on to hole 13, 268 feet. This is one that I want to get close on and make up for that bogey on the last hole and continue moving the right way on the leaderboard. Right now I'm sitting at 12 under, and Jennifer is at 9 under, and Henna is at 8 under. So it's a tight race here, and every hole matters. I'm throwing this Z Raptor wide on a hyzer, looking for that skip, and a very similar shot, very similar position to round 1. Now I just need to hit this elevated putt. And that one feels good to hit, especially after the previous hole missing 2 putts in a row. This one was quite a bit closer, but still it's just good for that mental game, hitting one right there in the center and just something to carry on through the next few holes. So this one, hole 14, it's 375 feet. The slope does go from right to left and the sidewalk is on your left. So if you get this one a little bit too early out of your hand or a little bit too much hyzer, you do have a chance of going OB. So my number one objective on this hole is to make sure you aim it wide. And again, this is my Raptor here. Nice width. I love this one out of my hand. Now I'm just looking for that skip and hoping not to land perfectly behind the electrical box, but it seems like I did. And just such a weird little 8-foot putt here. I was nervous about that one, to be honest. I'm glad that one went in because it felt very unfamiliar. Hole 15, 426 feet. This one is a bonus birdie if you can get down there. This one I'm throwing pretty hard with my Zeus and just trying to keep it in line with this red gazebo you can see in the restaurant behind and letting the disc do the work. If you do miss a little early, there is OB on the left side if you get over that hill. So just trying to make sure I put it nice and flat and get a little bit of S turn on it before it hyzers back to get that full flight. And a great shot on this one with my Zeus. I'm left with about a 15-foot putt to move to 15 under par with 3 holes to play. And this hole was amazing from our card. We had 3 2s and a 3, and Bradley and Mason and all the guys that were walking said that we played that hole a lot better than most of the men's cards, so that was really cool to see. Hole 16, 327 feet. Only danger is the mandatory. You have to go right of that, but as a right-handed player, none of us should really have a problem with this one. It's just which disc do you feel the most confident with on a hyzer 320 feet. For me, that is the Raptor. I've thrown it a lot this round. I'm feeling good with it. This one I just put a little bit too wide. It's not bad, but it could be closer. This is outside the circle, and on this hole, you kind of want a park job. Forces me to throw up a jump putt, and my timing was a little bit off on that one. Not even drawing metal, but I'm okay with a 3 on this one. But I was the only one to card a par on this card, so my competitors will move up to 12 under par, and I'm at 15 under. And we head to hole 17. This one's 468 feet downhill, maybe plays about 440, but it is a rip, absolute rip. And in round 1, I didn't quite get it to move to the right enough, so I didn't get that full flight out of it and landed a little short on that left side. So today I'm grabbing my go-to Zeus, and I'm trying to get a little bit of an S turn on this one. And there it is, that little bit of movement to the right. That's what I'm talking about. Just a little bit more forward progression. And I find myself with little to no putt, and this is best case scenario. I'm very happy with where this one landed, especially considering the trees aren't blocking it. So that little bit of hyzer at the end was perfect, and it'll move me up to 16 under going into the last hole. This one is 400 feet, par 3, and if you go the aggressive route, you're carrying water most of the way. There are 2 options. You can play a safe hyzer that covers the grass the entire flight, but I parked it yesterday and I'm feeling pretty good about it, and I really want to capitalize this round out and shoot another 8 under par. If I can birdie this one, I will tie my score from yesterday. So you can see the flags flapping behind me. I actually took a moment and traded the disc out of my hand. I grabbed the Raptor because of this tailwind. I did not want the Zeus to hyzer too much and go OB. So I'm grabbing this Raptor on the same line that I would throw the Zeus on, but I don't aim it quite wide enough, and I get a couple skips and a roll, and I will be out of bounds with just an outside the circle look to save par here. And just didn't quite push off again. This was my error this round, was just not really committing on the putts. And I will card a bogey to finish out the round, shoot 15 under par. And that will conclude the second round. 8 under first round, 7 under second round. End up shooting 15 under at Fountain Hills. Both of these were over 1,000 rated, so I was very happy with this, and I can't wait to get to Vista for round 3.
All right, guys, so that is it for round 2. That's it for Fountain Hills too. Round 3 and 4, we're heading over to Vista del Camino. I want to take a quick second to thank GKPro again for all this awesome coverage, and a big thank you to my Patreons who are helping me make videos like this. If you guys are interested in becoming a Patreon, it is patreon.com/ppierce29190. Thank you to both GKPro and my Patreons. Now, if you guys want to stay tuned for round 3 and round 4 at Vista, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube and hit the bell for alerts. See you next time.